I don't do crowds. I do calculations. The officer's spouse's gala at Fort Bragg is math I didn't volunteer for. My wife, Captain Sarah Mercer, is playing the part, wine glass in one hand, the other resting on the arm of some supply jockey who thinks a clipboard makes him a tactician. I'm scanning egress routes and threat vectors out of habit. 10 years in the 75th Ranger Regiment doesn't just wash off because you start consulting for Lockheed. Sarah's grip tightens on my bicep. Logan, try not to look like you're clearing a room. I'm not. I mutter. If I were clearing it, half these people would be on the floor. She sighs. Just be civil. Major Thompson's over there. Don't embarrass me. Wouldn't dream of it. I say, my tone is dry enough to start a brush fire. We reach our table. Or rather, we reach my seat. The one with the card that reads Mr. Logan Mercer. It's occupied. A staff sergeant with a high-end tight and a chest rack that looks like he got his ribbons from a bubblegum machine is sprawled in it, laughing too loud at his own bullshit. I stand there, waiting. He doesn't notice. Or he does and doesn't care. Excuse me. I say, my voice isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It's got the texture of gravel and bad memories. The sergeant, name tape reads Rivers, looks up. He's got that look in his eye. The one that says he peaked in OSUT and has been riding that high ever since. He doesn't move, just smirks. Oh, hey, Captain Mercer. Rivers drawls. Not even looking at me. We're a little cramped over here. Your hubby can grab a chair from the back. Yeah. Sarah forces a laugh. It sounds brittle. Logan, just sit somewhere else. Don't make a scene. I look at her. Really look at her. She's not asking. She's telling. She's prioritizing the comfort of a man who hasn't earned his seat over the respect due to hers. Due to me. That's a data point I log away. Rivers chuckles, swirling his cheap Chardonnay. Yeah, man, relax. It's just a chair. Not like it's a Humvee or something. It's not just a chair. I say, leaning down. I keep my voice low, intimate. The kind of tone that usually precedes a broken jaw in a combat zone. It's an assigned seat based on a hierarchical structure designed to prevent exactly this kind of logistical clusterfuck. You don't touch another man's kit. You don't take his six. And you sure as hell don't sit in his assigned seat at a formal function without an invitation. Now, move. Rivers' face hardens. He looks at Sarah, throwing her a bone. Your old man always is stiff. Captain? Bet he's a blast at parties. Sarah offers that placating smile again. The one she uses when she wants to look supportive, but really wants to melt into the floor. He's ex-military. He'll get over it. Ex-military. Like I'm a used car. Like I'm a phase she went through. That's when I decide. This isn't about a chair. It's about the principle. In my world, disrespect is a currency. If you let someone shortchange you once, they'll clean out your account. I reach past Rivers. I pluck my name card, Mr. Logan Mercer, and place it directly in front of him. Then, I pick up his glass of wine. Logan. Sarah hisses, her eyes going wide. I ignore her. I pour the wine slowly, deliberately, onto the centerpiece floral arrangement. White petals turn a sickly yellow-brown. The drip, drip, drip hits the silence of the nearby tables like a metronome. You want the seat? I ask Rivers, meeting his gaze dead on. You can have the ambience. I straighten up. Sarah's face is crimson. Rivers is sputtering, wine dripping from his fingers. I turn to my wife. Her mouth is opening and closing like a fish. I'm done being your skeleton. Sarah, I tell her, enjoy your party. I walk out. I don't storm. I don't stomp. I just walk, feeling every eye in the room burn into my back. Let them look. Let them talk. The math has changed. I'm in my F-150. Engine turning over. The AC blasting cold air that smells like dust and gun oil. When the phone rings. Unknown number. I debate letting it go to voicemail. Then I answer. Mercer. Mr. Mercer. The voice is crisp. Authoritative. The kind of voice that doesn't ask. It delegates. Colonel Vance. I believe you just vacated my gala. I pause. Colonel Vance. Post commander. A man I've only heard referenced in briefings about strategic defense initiatives. A man who doesn't deal with seating disputes. Sir, I reply, keeping my tone neutral, just claiming personal property. A beat of silence, the kind that comes before a change in altitude. Staff Sergeant Rivers is currently explaining to me why he thought it was prudent to antagonize the architect of the silent spear targeting algorithm. Do you know what that is? Mr. Mercer? My blood goes cold. Silent spear is classified, higher than top secret. It's the reason our drone strikes in 22 had a 0 civilian casualty rate. It's my life's work post Rangers. I wrote the core logic on a server buried 3 floors under Lockheed's facility in Palmdale. No one outside a very small circle knows I'm the architect. I might have heard the term. I say carefully. Heard the term? Vance's voice drops lower. A razor's edge. So, your name isn't just on a card tonight. It's on the access manifest for half the strategic defense infrastructure in this hemisphere. Rivers didn't just take your seat. He pissed on a national asset. A living, breathing one. I look at my reflection in the rear view. The anger I felt inside the hall is gone. In its place is a cold, clinical focus. This is the pivot. The moment the game changes from social slight to strategic reality. What's your intent? Colonel? I ask. My intent, Vance says, is to ensure you have a seat at every table you wish to occupy. Mr. Mercer, starting now. Rivers is being escorted out by MPs as we speak. Your wife is looking for you. Tell her Colonel Vance requests the pleasure of her company and yours. Immediately, the line goes dead. I stare at the phone. Then I look back at the glowing windows of the officers' club. Somewhere in there, Sarah is realizing that the man she married isn't the embarrassment she thought he was. He's the reason her world keeps spinning. I put the truck in reverse. I'm not going back to apologize. I'm going back to collect. When I re-enter the hall, the atmosphere has shifted. It's like the pressure drop before a thunderstorm. Conversations die mid-sentence. Heads turn. I see Rivers being led out by 2 MPs. He's not smirking now. He looks pale, confused, his uniform damp with wine stains. He catches my eye, and for a split second, there's fear there. Good. Fear is a better teacher than respect. Sarah rushes toward me, her face a mask of fury and confusion. Have you lost your mind? Pouring wine? Walking out? Do you know what you've done to my reputation? I grab her elbow, steering her firmly toward the head table where Colonel Vance sits. My grip is firm, not painful, but immovable. Your reputation is fine. Sarah, mine just got a promotion. We reach the table. Vance stands. He's a big man, built like a defensive lineman, with eyes that have stared into the abyss of too many deployment briefings. He doesn't acknowledge Sarah. His gaze is locked on me. Mr. Mercer, please. He indicates the empty seat to his right, the one reserved for the Deputy Commanding General. Forgive the lack of proper introduction earlier. I was reviewing the after-action report on the recent cyber incursion at Redstone Arsenal. Isit, Sarah hesitates, then takes the chair beside me, looking like she's been hit by a truck. Vance leans forward, steepling his fingers. Staff Sergeant Rivers seemed to think your seat was negotiable. He also seemed unaware that the ex-military husband of one of my captains is the reason his last 3 resupply convoys in Kandahar arrived intact. Your routing algorithms save his ass, Mercer, and he repaid you by stealing your chair. The table is silent. Every officer present knows what this means. Logistics algorithms aren't public knowledge. They're the backbone of modern warfare. They're the difference between a bullet finding a target and a target finding a grave. I'm not one for theatrics. Colonel, I say, meeting his gaze. But respect is a finite resource. He spent his on a power play, and you've just been redeposited. Vance replies. He turns to Sarah. Captain Mercer, your husband's security clearance level makes mine look like a library card. In the future, ensure his comfort is your primary concern, not because he's your husband, but because he's Logan Mercer. Is that understood? Sarah's mouth opens, then closes. She's drowning. Yes, sir. She manages to whisper. Vance shifts back to me. I read your paper on predictive pattern recognition in urban asymmetrical warfare. Brilliant stuff. But your math on page 12 assumes a static enemy command structure. What if the node is mobile? This is the opening I've been waiting for. Not a social opening. A technical one. The real currency. Then you don't track the node. Sir, I reply, my mind already racing through the variables. You track the entropy. You measure the disruption in the local commercial and social networks. The node creates a vacuum. Find the vacuum. You find the node. It's not about seeing the invisible. It's about seeing what's missing. Vance's eyes narrow in approval. Exactly. Which brings me to why I needed your name today. We have a leak. High level. Someone is selling movement data. I need a system that can identify the leak by the noise they leave, not the data they take. You need a ghost detector. I say, I need you. Vance corrects. Starting tomorrow, 0800, my office. Bring your own terminal. We're going dark. I nod. Around the table. The whispers start. Logan Mercer. The name is spreading like a virus. Sarah leans into me, her voice trembling. Logan, what is happening? I look at her. Really see her. She married the rank, not the man. She wanted the stability of a retiree, not the shadow of a spook. I'm happening. Sarah, I say softly, so only she can hear. And you're just now realizing you never actually met me. The rest of the dinner passes in a blurred deference. Officers who ignore me now toast me. Enemies become sycophants. It's nauseating, but beneath it is the real work. Vance slips me a data chip on the table. On it, a single line of code. A signature, my signature, from a project I thought was buried in 19. Someone is using my dead code, and they're using it to bleed us dry. The game isn't about a seat anymore. It's about a legacy, and I'm about to reclaim it with a sledgehammer. I pick up my water glass. I don't drink when I'm working, and tap it against Vance's, to the weight of a name. I murmur. Vance clinks his glass against mine. To the man behind it, Mercer. I catch Sarah watching me, her eyes wide with a dawning horror that's starting to look a lot like respect. She finally gets it. She married a name she didn't understand. And now that name just bought her a front row seat to a war she didn't know was being fought. Let her watch. Let her learn. The tuition is overdue. Vance's office. No windows. Just the hum of servers and the smell of ozone. Vance locks the door behind us. The click is final. Sitrep, I say, no good mornings. No pleasantries. We're past that. Vance slides a manila folder across the steel desk. Operation Silent Anchor. Logistics network for the entire AFRICOM theater. Last 3 months. We've had 4 unexplained losses. Convoy reroutes that led to ambushes. All digital trails lead to human error. But the math is too clean. Too perfect. I open my laptop. Plug in the encrypted drive he gave me. Lines of code flood the screen. I don't read them. I feel them. Code has a rhythm. A cadence. This is mine. It's my Hydra protocol. I'm Mutta, decommissioned in 19 after the Senate oversight hearing. It was designed to create ghost routes, decoys. Someone rebuilt it. They're using it to create false positives in our threat assessment AI. Vance leans over my shoulder, his breath steady. Can you trace it? Tracing is for cops. I say, my fingers blur across the keys. I'm going to feed it a poison pill. If the code tries to phone home, it'll dump the entire operational history of a user, including their physical location via MAC address triangulation. I build the trap. Elegant. Brutal. It uses the attacker's own arrogance against them. They think they're using a ghost. I'm going to make the ghost rip out their throat. Done. I say after 20 minutes. The next time they activate the protocol, I'll have them. How long? Vance asks. They'll be impatient. They've had 3 successful hits. They'll go for a 4th within 48 hours to establish a pattern. I'll be ready. The next day, I'm in the TOC Tactical Operations Center. Sarah is there, briefing a pack of butter bars, second lieutenants, on supply chain resilience. She sees me and pales. I'm not in a suit. I'm in jeans and a black Henley. My ranger tattoo, a dagger through a lightning bolt, visible on my forearm. I'm holding a coffee, watching a wall of monitors like a hawk watches a field. She approaches during a lull, her voice low, pitched for just us. Logan, we need to talk. About us. About all this. I don't look at her. Talk is cheap. Sarah, data is immutable. You chose a chair over your husband. You chose performance over a partnership. That data point is logged. It doesn't change. I didn't know. She whispers. I didn't know who you were. You knew I was a ranger. You knew I consulted for DOD. You chose to minimize it because it didn't fit your narrative. You did not know. You didn't want to know. I finally glance at her. That's treason of the soul. Sarah, and I don't forgive treason. At that moment, a single, high-pitched beep cuts through the low hum of the TOC. Not a klaxon. My laptop. The Hydra protocol had been activated. A convoy in Niger is being rerouted into a kill zone. I strike the enter key. The poison pill deploys. Got you. I whisper. The screen flashes. The IP address resolves. The physical location triangulates. I zoom in on the map. That isn't in Niger. It isn't in Africa. It's in the basement of the officers' club at Fort Bragg, right where the server hub for the garrison is located. Colonel, I say loudly, drawing every eye in the room. I have the source, and he's not a foreign agent. Vance steps forward from a side console. Who? I turn the monitor, so the room can see the name attached to the access log. The silence turns solid. Major Thomas Rivers. I say, signals intelligence. Level 5 clearance. He's been selling our routes to a cartel in exchange for Bitcoin, and he's sitting in his office, right now, wondering why his screen just went blue. Sarah gasps. Rivers, the brother of the man who stole my seat. The irony is so thick it tastes like copper. Vance's face is stone. MPs, arrest Major Rivers. Now, confiscate all electronics. I want him in a cold cell in 10 minutes. As the MPs rush out, Vance looks at me. You just saved 100 lives. Mercer, uncovered a nest of vipers. I didn't do it for the lives. Sir, I say, closing my laptop, the metal click echoes. I did it because someone used my code without a license. That's bad for business. I walk past Sarah. She reaches for my arm, but I'm already gone. The woman I married died the moment she let another man sit in my seat. In her place is a stranger who finally understands the cost of her miscalculation. The hunt isn't over. It's just beginning. And this time, I'm not just taking back a seat. I'm burning the whole house down. 2 hours later, Vance calls me back to his office. He's not alone. A woman in a sharp charcoal pantsuit sits in the corner, posture screaming Langley. Logan, this is Deputy Director Hayes. Agency. Vance says, she's been briefed on your unique skill set. Hayes doesn't offer a hand. Mr. Mercer, your poison pill bypassed 3 layers of our encryption. Impressive. Also, deeply illegal under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. We could lock you up for writing that code. You could try. I reply, taking a seat without invitation. But then who's going to find the rest of the rats? Rivers didn't act alone. The transaction volume doesn't match the data loss. There's a wholesale operation here. Hayes smiles. A thin, predatory curve. We agree, which is why we're offering you a contract. Off the books. Plausible deniability. You find the network. You dismantle it. We provide the access. You provide the math. I don't work for the agency. I say flatly, I consult. There's a difference. I consult for money, for principle, or for fun. Right now, I'm leaning toward fun. Vance interjects, his tone measured. Logan, this isn't just about revenge anymore. This is about national security. Rivers was selling to the Sinaloa cartel. Yes, but the cartel was acting as a proxy for a hostile state actor. Most likely, they're using the cartel's distribution network to move personnel and materials into the CONUS. I process this. The stakes just escalated from personal to existential. So, you're saying my little seating dispute uncovered a 5th column? We're saying, Hayes says, sliding a thicker envelope across the desk, that the man who sat in your seat is the tip of an iceberg, and we need you to sink the ship. Code name, Operation Ghost in the Wires. I open the envelope. Inside are photos, surveillance shots. One stops my heart. It's Sarah, meeting a man in a cafe on Bragg Boulevard. The man is identified as Carlos Mendoza, Sinaloa logistics coordinator. The date stamp is from yesterday. While I was hunting rivers, she was meeting the buyer. My jaw tightens. The betrayal isn't just emotional now. It's criminal. She's not just a fool. She's a collaborator. Or a target. Either way, she's a liability. I'll take the contract. I say, my voice devoid of emotion, but I work alone, and I decide the end point. Hayes nods. Agreed, but the clock is ticking. We've intercepted chatter. Something called the reaping. 72 hours from now. I stand up. Then I don't have time for a debrief. Get me a secure terminal and a pot of coffee. And somebody find out if Captain Mercer is scheduled for a dental cleaning anytime soon. If she leaves post, I want to know. Logan, Van says, his voice low, she's still your wife. I look at him, then at the photo of Sarah. Not after this. Colonel, after this. She's just another data point in a compromised network. I walk out, leaving them with the echo of my words. The game has changed again. It's not about the seat. It's about the fallout. And I'm about to become a goddamn fallout shelter. The safe house smells like stale coffee and ozone. I've been at the terminal for 36 hours straight. No sleep, just caffeine and the hum of servers processing petabytes of SIGINT. Hayes' agency techs tried to help at first. I told them to get the hell out unless they could speak in machine code. They left. Vance calls on the secure line. Status. I've mapped the financials. I say, not looking up from the screen, Rivers was a mule. The brain is a shell company in Valletta. They're using a series of nested VPNs. But the latency tells me the physical servers are in Ashburn, Virginia. Amazon Web Services. Amateurs. Can you shut it down? Shutting it down is easy. Finding out who's pulling the strings is harder. The reaping is scheduled for 0300 Zulu. That's when they dump the names of every undercover human asset in Latin America. I'm not stopping the dump. I'm redirecting it. Redirecting it where? Back to the source. I'm going to feed the data through a recursive compression algorithm. It'll look like a standard exfiltration. But the moment they try to decrypt it, it'll trigger a logic bomb. It won't just fry their servers. It'll map their entire internal network topology and send it back to us. I want to know who the puppeteer is. Vance is silent for a beat. That's a massive violation of the Fourth Amendment. Mercer, the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply to enemy combatants operating on U.S. soil. Colonel, and if they're planning the reaping, they've already declared war. I'm just returning fire. I hang up. The clock is ticking. I run a diagnostic on the logic bomb. It's clean, elegant. It'll leave a digital scar on whoever triggers it. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. A photo. Sarah, leaving the post exchange. Behind her, reflected in the glass, is a black Suburban with a cracked windshield. Agency surveillance. They're watching her. Good. Another text. This one from Hayes. Subject is active. Meeting confirmed. 1800. O'Malley's Pub. Fayetteville. Alone. I check the time. 17:45. I close the laptop, slide it into my go bag, and head for the door. I don't need backup. I need answers. O'Malley's is a dive. Smoke, stale beer, and the low hum of college football on the TVs. Sarah is in a back booth, nursing a gin and tonic. She's not alone. Carlos Mendoza is across from her. He's smaller than he looks in the photos, but his neck is thick, his eyes restless. A bodyguard stands near the bar, trying too hard to look casual. I walk in. The room doesn't go silent. It's too loud for that, but the temperature drops. I ignore the bodyguard. I ignore Mendoza. I slide into the booth next to Sarah. Logan, she whispers, her face draining of color. What are you doing here? Mendoza smiles, showing teeth. Mr. Mercer, The ghost in the machine. I wonder when you'd show. Your wife was just telling me how much she enjoys our chats. I look at Sarah. Is that right? She can't meet my eyes. He said he'd hurt you. He said if I didn't give him the patrol schedules for the 82 ND's fuel convoys, he'd have you disappeared. Patrol schedules? I lean back, looking at Mendoza. You're a logistics coordinator for a multi-billion-dollar cartel, and you're shaking down a captain's wife for fuel schedules? That's like robbing a bank for the staplers. Mendoza's smile fades. You think you're funny. Gringo? I think you're a B player in a game you don't understand. I pull out my phone, open an app, and turn the screen toward him. It's a live feed of a secure server in Mazatlan. Files are deleting themselves in real time. I've been in your system for 6 hours. Your boss in Sinaloa? He's about to find out you've been skimming. You're not a kingpin. Mendoza, you're a dead man walking. The bodyguard moves. I don't. I just look at him, take another step, and the FBI raids his place in 90 seconds. I've already sent an anonymous tip about a drug deal. The only reason you're not already in cuffs is because I'm not finished talking to your boss. Mendoza's eyes flick to the door, then back to me. He's calculating his odds. He doesn't like them. What do you want? I want you to walk out that door. I want you to tell your handlers in Tehran that the reaping is canceled, and I want you to tell them that Logan Mercer sends his regards. If I ever see your face again, I'll burn every account you've ever touched. I'll make sure your children can't get a library card. Are we clear? He stares at me for a long 3 seconds. Then he stands, adjusts his jacket, and walks out. The bodyguard follows. The booth is silent. Sarah starts to cry. Quiet, shuddering sobs. I'm sorry. I didn't know who else to turn to. I was scared. I watch her. The anger is still there. A cold coal in my gut, but it's mixed with something else. Pity. She's a pawn. A well-meaning, stupid, prideful pawn who got promoted to queen and then immediately checkmated. You should have come to me. I say, my voice is flat. When you realized you were in over your head, you should have come to me. Instead, you stayed silent. You let your pride write a check your life couldn't cash. I thought you'd be angry. She whispers, I am angry. I say, but I'm not a monster. I'm your husband. And in this world, that still means something, even if you don't. I pull out a burner phone, dial a number. Vance, it's Mercer. Mendoza is en route to his vehicle. Pick him up, but don't hold him. I want him scared, not silent, and get a team to my wife's location. She's had a rough night. I hang up. Sarah looks at me, hope and fear warring on her face. What happens now? Now, I stand up, grabbing my bag. Now, you go home. You pack a bag. You're being moved to a secure location until this blows over. And when it's done, you're going to resign your commission, effective immediately. You're not cut out for this. Sarah, you want the rank without the risk. That's not how it works. And you? She asks, her voice breaking. I'm going to finish what I started. I look down at her, seeing the woman I married and the stranger she became. I'm going to dismantle the network. I'm going to find a man who thought he could use my code and my wife to hurt my country. And then I'm going to disappear. Again, this time for good. I walk out of O'Malley's. The night air is cool. Somewhere in the dark, Mendoza's being picked up. Somewhere in the wires, my logic bomb is ticking down. And somewhere in a secure facility, a man is about to learn that the ghost he's been hunting has been haunting his own house. My phone buzzes. Hayes, Mercer, we tracked the signal. The reaping isn't a data dump. It's a worm. It's designed to physically disable our drone fleet in the CENTCOM ALR. If it triggers, we lose eyes in the sky for 6 months. Minimum. Understood. I say, already running toward my truck. Patch me into the primary server. I'm going to rewrite the worm's handshake protocol. Instead of disabling the drones, it's going to upload a tracking beacon to every hostile receiver in the region. We'll own the sky and everyone in it. Do it. Hayes says, and Mercer, if you pull this off, the president himself is going to know your name. He already does. I reply, sliding into the driver's seat. He just doesn't know it yet. I slam the door. The engine roars. The hunt is on. And this time, the prey is wearing general stars. The SCIF at Pope Field is colder than a meat locker. I'm jacked directly into the NIPRNet backbone. Hayes is over my shoulder. Vance is on secure VDC. And Sarah, they flew her in an hour ago, is sitting in a steel chair in the corner, wrapped in a government-issue blanket, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. 60 seconds to handshake. I'm Mutta. My fingers are flying across the mechanical keyboard. The clack, clack, clack is the only sound in the room. I'm rerouting the worm's primary execution vector through a buffer overflow in their legacy TCP IP stack. Sloppy work. Whoever coded this to them was lazy. Hayes leans in. Can you guarantee the beacons upload before the worm executes? Guarantee? I don't look up. No, but I'd bet my clearance on it. The handshake requires a bidirectional ping. I've poisoned the response packet the moment they send the execute command. Our beacon rides a return signal like a parasite. It'll propagate through their entire command and control network before their first drone even blinks. 30 seconds. Vance's voice booms from the speaker. Mercer, we have confirmation. Multiple hostile UAVs just went active over the Strait of Hormuz. They're locking onto our carrier group. Copy. I say. I isolate the signal. There it is. The digital fingerprint of the worm. It's elegant in its malice, but it has a microsecond delay in the checksum validation. Amateur hour. I write the patch in real time. A few lines of assembly that will flip the script. 10 seconds. Sarah's voice cuts through the tension. Small and trembling. Logan, what if you're wrong? I finally look at her. My eyes are burning, but my voice is ice. I'm not, but even if I were, Sarah, the alternative was losing $100 billion in hardware and potentially starting a shooting war because some cartel-backed hacker thought he could play chess with people who invented the game. You should hope I'm not wrong, because if I am, your little meetings with Mendoza just became an act of war. 5 seconds. I hit enter. The screen floods with green text. The worm's signature flickers, stutters, and then transforms. The hostile UAV telemetry on the secondary monitor freezes, then starts blinking with new identifiers. Our tracking beacons. Beacon confirmed. I announce. Signal strength nominal. We got eyes on 47 hostile nodes, including their primary relay station in Bandar Abbas. It's a Christmas tree. Colonel, light it up. Vance doesn't hesitate. Cyber Command. Execute Stingray protocol. I want those nodes geolocated and neutralized. Now, the room erupts. Phones ring. Keyboards clatter. And voices overlap. Hayes is shouting orders into a satellite phone. Vance is relaying targeting data. I lean back, cracking my neck. The immediate crisis is over. The real work begins now. I push away from the terminal and walk over to Sarah. She looks up at me, her eyes red-rimmed. It's over? She asks. The attack is over. I say, the cleanup is just starting, and you're part of the cleanup now. Hayes ends her call and joins us. Mercer, that was the D/CIA. He wants a full debrief, and he wants to know what we do with Captain Mercer. Sarah flinches at her rank. I look at Hayes. She's a liability. She's been compromised, whether she knew it or not. She's a gap in our OPSEC that nearly got 100 people killed and started World War III. The math is simple. She's a risk factor. Logan, please, Zava Vispas. I didn't know. I swear on my life. I didn't know what Mendoza was planning. Your oath was to the Constitution, not to your fear. I snap. You broke that oath the moment you decided your pride was more important than your duty. You should have come to me. You should have come to Vance. You chose silence. Silence in this business is consent. Hayes studies me. Then Sarah. We can offer her a deal. Immunity in exchange for testimony against Mendoza and the others. But her career is finished. She'll be asked to resign for medical reasons. PTSD. It's cleaner that way. I nod. Agreed. But I want her monitored. 6 months. Random checks. If she so much as looks at a classified document, the deal is off and the full weight of the UCMJ comes down on her head. Sarah's face crumples. You do that? To your own wife? I'm doing it because you're my wife. I say, my voice low, if you weren't, you'd already be in a cell at Leavenworth, and I wouldn't be arguing for immunity. Don't mistake my pragmatism for mercy. Sarah, this is damage control. Nothing more. Vance's voice cuts in from the speaker. Mercer, get back to the terminal. We're tracing the origin of the worm's core code. It's not just Hydra. It's been modified. And the modifications, they match a signature we've seen before. A contractor named Blackpoint Dynamics. Your old firm, Mercer, before Lockheed. I freeze. Blackpoint. I'd left them in 17 after a disagreement about ethical boundaries. They wanted to sell predictive policing software to authoritarian regimes. I wanted to burn the servers. I'd heard they'd gone underground after a DOJ investigation, but I thought they were finished. Pull their corporate charter. I say, turning back to the screen, check the board of directors. Check who funded their buyout. This wasn't just a cartel op. This was a corporate hit. Someone at Blackpoint wanted to prove that my retirement made the DOD vulnerable. They used the cartel as a proxy to stage a demonstration. You're saying this was a job interview? Hayes asks, incredulous. I'm saying it was a hostile takeover. I correct. They wanted to show the Joint Chiefs that, without me, the system collapses. They used my wife and my code to do it. It's personal now. I dive back into the data. The signature is unmistakable. A specific commenting style. A preference for Hungarian notation that I drilled into my team at Blackpoint years ago. It's Julian Vane, my fameux protégé, the one I'd fired for cooking the books. Got him. I whisper, Julian Vane. He's alive. He's at Blackpoint, and he's been busy. Hayes is already on the phone. Director, it's Hayes. We have a name. Julian Vane, former Mercer associate, Blackpoint Dynamics. I want every asset we have on him. Now, I look over at Sarah. She's staring at me, finally understanding the scope of the world she'd married into, the world she'd almost destroyed with her vanity. You want to know who I am? Sarah? I say, my voice echoing in the silent SCIF. I'm the man who builds the walls. And when someone like Julian Vane tries to tear them down, I'm the man who hunts them through the wires and buries them in the code. Your little social snub at a gala? That was the first domino. And you just watched the whole row fall. I turn back to the monitor. The screen is filled with Julian Vane's digital footprint, stretching from Silicon Valley to the Persian Gulf. Pack your bags. Sarah, I say without looking back, you're going to a safe house in the Blue Ridge. You won't have internet. You won't have a phone. You'll have time to think about the weight of a name. My name. And when this is over, you'll decide if you ever want to be associated with it again. I start writing a new script, a hunter-killer algorithm designed specifically for Julian Vane's digital scent. This isn't about the Army anymore. This is about my legacy. And I'm going to teach Julian Vane and everyone like him that you don't use my life's work to threaten my country, not while I'm still breathing. Mercer. Hayes says, hanging up, the director wants you to lead the op against Blackpoint. Full authority. Black budget. Whatever you need. I nod. Tell him I'll do it. But on one condition, when I find Julian Vane. I get 5 minutes alone with him, in a room with no cameras, no witnesses, just me and the man who forgot, who taught him how to code. Hayes hesitates, then nods. Agreed, but make it quick. We've got a world to protect. I'm not protecting the world. I say, my eyes locked on the lines of code that will become Julian Vane's digital noose. I'm protecting my name, and that's a much more dangerous proposition. I hit run. The algorithm propagates. Somewhere, Julian Vane feels a chill down his spine. And somewhere, Sarah Mercer realizes that the man she married isn't just a ghost in the machine. He is the machine, and it's just been turned on. The safe house in the Blue Ridge is a cinder block box with a tin roof and a view of nothing. Sarah's been here 3 days. I've been in cyberspace hunting Julian Vane through the dark fiber lines of 7 different ISPs. I found him in a data haven in Svalbard, an old NATO relay station he'd repurposed. Clever, cold, exactly like him. I drive up in the dead of night. No headlights. The truck's engine ticks as it cools. Inside, Sarah is sitting at a metal table, staring at a blank wall. She looks up when I enter. No surprise, just resignation. "Logan," she says. Her voice is a rasp. "Is it over?" "The network is down." I say, dropping my go bag by the door. Vane servers are slag. His bank accounts are frozen. The CIA has a Black Hawk en route to Svalbard to pick him up, but over is a relative term. She pushes a chipped mug across the table. It's filled with lukewarm coffee. "I heard shots last night. Near the ridge. Coyotes." I lie. It wasn't coyotes. It was a two-man cleanup crew from Black Point trying to tie off loose ends. They won't try again. I made sure of it in the tree line an hour ago. You should get some sleep. "I can't," she whispers. Every time I close my eyes, I see that chair, Rivers, sitting there, smirking, and I hear you pouring that wine. I hear Colonel Vance saying your name like it's a weapon. It is a weapon. I say, sitting down across from her. The chair legs scrape loud on the concrete, and you handed it to a fool because you were worried about your reputation. You wanted to shine at being an officer's wife without understanding the gravity of what that officer or his spouse might actually do. You saw the rank. I saw the responsibility. That disconnect nearly got people killed. I said I was sorry. She snaps, tears welling up. "What more do you want from me?" "I don't want anything from you." "Sarah," I say, my voice flat. "That's the point. I don't want your apologies. I don't want your regret. Those are emotional currencies, and they're worthless in a ledger where lives are the debit. You want redemption? You want to make it right? Then understand this, your name. My name, Mercer. It's not just a label. It's a promise. To the guys on the ground that the intel is solid. To the taxpayers that the billions spent on defense aren't being pissed away. To the enemy that if they come for us, will burn their world down. You broke that promise because you thought a chair was more important than the man who earned the right to sit in it." She starts to cry, silent, shaking sobs. I watch her, detached. The woman I married died the moment she chose her pride over our partnership. This is just the aftermath. My phone vibrates. "Hayes." I answer. "Mercer. We have Vane," she says. The connection is patchy, but her tone is sharp. "He's singing. Says he did it to prove you'd gone soft, that you'd chosen domesticity over duty. He used Sarah as the proof of concept. Wanted to show the DOD that without you, they were vulnerable. He wanted your job. Logan. Badly. He never had the qualifications." I reply, watching Sarah crumble. "Tell him I'm coming to see him. And tell the director that the leak is plugged, but the damage to morale is real. We need to scrub every line of code Vane ever touched. Full audit. I want names on my desk by Monday. Already in motion. What about Captain Mercer?" Hayes asks, her voice softening slightly. "The deal stands, but her career is ashes. What's the play?" I look at Sarah. She's looking back at me, her eyes red, her face blotchy. She looks small, defeated. She finally understands the weight, and she knows she can't carry it. She's done, I say into the phone. Effective immediately. Medical retirement. PTSD, like we discussed. She gets her pension. A quiet life, and a permanent shadow. If she breathes a word of this to anyone outside this room, the immunity evaporates and the UCMJ comes down on her like a hammer. Understood? Understood. And you? I'm going dark. I say, I'll finish the audit. I'll dismantle what's left of Black Point. And then I'm taking the offer Vane wanted. I'm going full black. No more consulting. No more galas. Just me and the ghosts and the wires. Tell the colonel I'll check in when the math demands it. I hang up. Sarah wipes her nose on her sleeve. You're leaving. Yes. I say. I stand up. Grab my bag. This isn't a punishment. Sarah, it's a mercy. You wanted a normal life? You're getting one. No more late nights. No more locked briefcases. No more husband who might not come home because he's chasing shadows in a server farm in Uzbekistan. You get a house, a pension, and the freedom to forget you ever knew what a silent spear was. Don't do this. She pleads, standing up. She reaches for me. I step back. Logan, please, we can fix this. We can start over. We can't, I say, because starting over requires trust. And you burn that bridge the moment you let another man sit in my seat. You didn't just disrespect me. You disrespected everything I am, everything I built, and everything I protect. That's not a misunderstanding. Sarah, that's a fundamental incompatibility. I walk to the door. I pause, my hand on the rusted knob. I don't look back. Remember this. Though, I say, my voice echoing in the empty room. You didn't marry a man. You married a legacy. And even if you spend the rest of your life in a quiet house with a white picket fence, you'll never escape the fact that you had a ringside seat to history, and you chose a folding chair instead. That's your burden now. Carry it. I open the door. The pre-dawn air is cold and clean. I step out, pulling the door shut behind me. The click of the latch is final. I get in the truck. As I turn the key, I see her shadow move behind the curtained window, watching. Good. Let her watch. Let her remember the name she tried to trade for a glass of Chardonnay. My phone buzzes again. Vance. Mercer. Hayes told me. You're sure about this? I'm sure. Colonel, the Army doesn't need a consultant who's distracted by a wife who doesn't understand the stakes. And I don't need a platform that allows for that kind of disrespect to fester. I'm more effective in the dark. The president wanted to thank you personally. Vance says, offer you the Distinguished Civilian Service Award. Tell him thanks. But no thanks. I reply, putting the truck in gear. Medals are for parades. I'm not in the parade business anymore. I'm in the prevention business. And the best way to prevent the next disaster is to make sure the people who play with fire know exactly who they're dealing with. Where will you go? Everywhere and nowhere. I say, I've got a list of servers to burn and a few dozen traitors to unmask. After that, I'll be the name in the earpiece when things go sideways. The ghost in the machine. The man they call when the math doesn't add up. I hang up. I don't wait for a response. I pull out onto the dirt road, the tires kicking up dust. In the rear view, the safe house shrinks until it's just a speck. Sarah's gone. The gala is gone. The chair is gone. All that's left is the work. And the name, Logan Mercer. Not ex-ranger. Not ex-consultant. Just Mercer. The variable that can't be solved. The constant that doesn't change. The name that means something because I made it mean something. I hit the highway, merging into the early morning traffic. Somewhere, a crisis is brewing. Somewhere, a network needs burning. Somewhere, a ghost needs hunting. And I'll be there, not for the glory, not for the thanks, but because the math demands balance. Because respect isn't given, it's taken. And because my name, my goddamn name, is worth more than all the seats in all the halls of power combined. I press harder on the gas. The engine roars. The sun breaks over the horizon, casting long shadows on the road ahead. Let them come. Let them try to take what's mine. They'll learn, just like Sarah did, just like Rivers did, just like Julian Vane is about to learn, the hard way,